This is the new Porsche
Hello.
Taycan. Before we
The
start,
fastest
make
electric
sure to
vehicle
subscribe to this
produced by
channel and
Porsche
hit the
in
notification
Zuffenhausen,
bell to
Germany.
receive updates when
The
we
Taycan
upload
is
new
ready
videos.
for
The future, thanks to its innovative total concept. It is characterized by the features that have always been decisive for any Porsche: pure emotion and maximum driving pleasure. The Taycan carries a legacy that is reflected by performance. The latest drive technology ensures that its performance can be repeatedly reproduced. Two permanent magnet synchronous motors catapult the Taycan Turbo S with up to 761 horsepower overboost with launch control from 0 to 100 km/h in 2.8 seconds. On paper, the Porsche has more than enough power and performance to rival the very quickest Teslas, yet bosses insist there is more to the Taycan than straightline speed. That bespoke platform immediately elevates it above many of the latest luxury EVs. Cars like Mercedes EQC, which are based on existing petrol or diesel cars, feel heavy and cumbersome in a way the Taycan does not. It's agile, like any Porsche should be. The Taycan is squat and wide, which not only cuts a sharp and instantly recognizable silhouette on the road, but helps lower the center of gravity, too. The driving position has more than a whiff of 911 to it. You sit just inches from the ground, with the upright wheel close to your chest. There's a fine precision to the controls, with a balanced weight to the well-assisted steering. Acceleration is little short of violent. The innovative 2-speed transmission has been designed to offer brutal acceleration, mated with maximum efficiency at high speeds. With 751 brake horsepower and 1050 Nm of torque, there is absolutely no scenario where you could wish for more power. Away from the line, the Taycan has the ability to leave your breakfast in the bushes. It really is savagely quick. Porsche claims the 0 to 62 mph time of 2.8 seconds is repeatable, in a way it might not be in a Tesla Model S. The Taycan uses the same drive modes as a petrol-powered Porsche, albeit with an additional range setting that pushes the car into its most efficient state. Far from this being a slow and steady, power-restricted setup, the saloon feels plenty quick enough for this to be most people's default drive mode. It'll cruise at motorway speeds using only the front wheels, maximizing efficiency and thus distance it can travel on a single charge. Speaking of that regenerative setup, Porsche says you should be able to do 90% of your driving on one pedal, but unfortunately this isn't quite true. There are two settings, but even the stronger mode doesn't slow the car sufficiently to prevent you regularly applying the brakes, especially around town. Up front, the Taycan is very quiet, but it's much louder in the back. Once you dip under the sloping roofline, space isn't too bad, but you sit perched over the rear axle and those huge tires generate significant road noise. It's dark, too, thanks to the letterbox-style rear window and black headlining. The boot is a good size, however. Despite measuring only 366 liters, less than a Volkswagen Golf, with some considered stacking we managed to fit all our camera gear and luggage in the back, forcing just a single backpack into the Taycan's 81-liter nose. A Panamera is still more practical due to its hatchback tailgate. Porsche claims this top-spec Turbo S, with its 93 kWh battery, can do up to 256 miles on a single charge, according to the WLTP test regime. The less powerful Turbo ups this to 279 miles. We fell slightly short, but it's hard to complain as we were carrying an extra 250 kilograms. Around 220 miles should be an achievable figure in day-to-day driving. The Taycan is Porsche's vision of the future, and as such, it ditches the familiar analog rev counter for a fully digital display. That forward-thinking layout extends across the whole dashboard, in fact, with two more screens on the center stack, and another on the passenger side, allowing you better half to keep an eye on things like speed, nav and trip info. It feels like a gimmick, however, we switched it off after only a couple of miles. Elsewhere, quality, fit and finish is excellent, as it should be on a car costing almost twice as much as a well-equipped Panamera. Still, standard kit includes 18-way electrically operated sports seats, matrix LED lights, 2-zone climate control and Porsche Communication Management (PCM) with online sat-nav. The options list is extensive, with countless colors, wheel choices and interior trims. Ceramic brakes are just £581, but you'll pay £3,245 for the Burmester 3D surround sound system. Northern Finland is brutally cold this time of year. In Levi specifically, a sleepy ski town nestled 100 miles within the Arctic Circle, temperatures regularly linger in the single digits. But it's not skiing that draws us to this town. Hiding in the woods of this winter wonderland is Porsche's ice driving facility. Home to more than 75 acres of drivable surface, the brutal locale and makeshift circuits provide the perfect environment to push the outer limits of the brand's latest vehicle, the Taycan 4S. For the record, Porsche's Finnish ice driving experience is open to all customers of the German brand. It features a handful of the latest Porsche products and full lodging, as well as 3 days of ice driving with instructors, though it is costly. The most basic experience costs €3,300, about $3,600 at today's rates. But there's no limit on what you can do. Want to put a 911 Carrera S sideways on an oval ice rink? You can. Care to carve up a snowy track in a 718 Cayman? Porsche's got you covered. In our case, Porsche ushered us to its Finnish ice facility to fling around its new electric vehicle. Our compacted one-day lesson included an on-road drive portion in the Taycan 4S, as well as an icy slalom, laps around the hourglass circle, and unabashed, all-out drifting on the circular ice rink. And did we mention lots of hot chocolate? But first, Porsche highlights the Taycan 4S battery pack's ability to maintain charging levels in cold climates such as this. The company doesn't provide range figures for the Taycan 4S in the US yet, but our Eurospec tester gets up to 463 kilometers, approximately 287 miles, on a single charge on the WLTP scale. The lesser performance model, meanwhile, gets 407 kilometers, approximately 253 miles. Porsche says anywhere between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius, 77 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit, yields the best charging results. In those conditions, the Taycan 4S can recharge from 5 to 80% in just 22.5 minutes via 270 kilowatt fast chargers. Finland's freezing temperatures are less than optimal for charging, obviously, and lead to serious degradation in most cases. But Porsche engineers took these factors into account, knowing the Nordic appetite for EVs. The Taycan mitigates extreme cold in more ways than one. The first is a thermal preconditioning system that uses waste heat from the liquid-cooled high-voltage components to warm the battery ahead of charging. Otherwise, the Taycan knows when it needs to charge and sends more heat to the battery while driving. Tesla implements a similar en route battery warm-up technique in its cars. But Porsche also actively warms the batteries as they charge, not just while driving. An optional heat pump system also uses waste heat from the motors and battery to warm the cabin. It's an advanced setup that Porsche engineers say allows for very little range loss in even the coldest temps. There is some perceived loss on our 90-mile or so drive, though. Our Taycan 4S tester leaves the hotel in downtown Levi with a readout of about 85% range on the dash. Porsche suggests that the number will drop to 48% once we arrive at the destination. Instead, the readout tells us the battery is at 42%. Our very unscientific test, though, doesn't provide a whole lot of details on real-world range. Located further north of the Arctic Circle than the city of Levi, hidden behind a pine tree forest and mounds of snow, is Porsche's not-so-secret 75-acre ice driving facility that features a circular ice rink, figure-8 tracks, an icy oval, and more. After a 2-hour drive on road, which you can read more of in our first drive review, we get our go at pretty much all of the obstacles in the Taycan 4S. First up is the slalom. Take it easy into the initial few cones and the Taycan displays tremendous grip. It's difficult to get this car sideways, though our instructor encourages us to do so, pushing the car vigorously and turning traction control completely off, rather than just flicking it to Sport Plus mode, gets the Taycan loose, though. It's still controllable, and the grip of the specially designed, though non-studded, Goodyear tires, as well as the availability of the Performance Plus package's rear axle steering, lead to little dramatics. At least, in this exercise. The Taycan 4S shows us it can get a bit more wild in the hourglass circuit. As our car brushes snow off the circuit with each lap, revealing more of the ice underneath, there's less grip and lots of understeer. We cautiously navigate into the first tight corner as our instructor tells us to flick it instead, and prod the accelerator with a heavier foot. Doing so results in a more controlled drift and decent carrying speed. For what it's worth, the car looks fantastic flying sideways with a snowy rooster tail spitting out of its rear. But Porsche's instructor puts our basic snow drifting abilities to the test on the toughest exercise of the day, the icy oval, as we call it. This flat, perfect circle of ice is practically designed for drifting. Controlled drifting, that is. One wrong move and you'll put the Porsche into a snowbank, as we did later in the drill. The key is to keep your foot in it, our instructor yells over the in-car walkie-talkie. Overcome early fears of ending up in deep snow, and the Taycan 4S moves sideways along the ice sheet gracefully. Our wheel speed reads off 150 km per hour, approximately 93 miles per hour, though we're almost entirely sideways, moving laterally at a much slower pace. The Taycan's instant torque moves the car parallel around the circuit in a damn near perfect icy drift, something we found more difficult in a gas-powered car like the Kia Stinger GT, for example. It takes multiple laps to perfect, or at least, somewhat perfect, an icy drift. But once mastered, the Taycan 4S provides a sensation few other cars can. Specifically cars with gas-powered engines underhood. Instant torque, impressive body control, and perfect steering make the Taycan 4S the perfect vehicle for waltzing in a winter wonderland.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Subscribe to Auto TV.